Hello and welcome to episode 5 now of the Bunker to Bunker podcast. We are coming off of an exhilarating week of golf with low scores that, well, one day I guess I can say that I'll, be able to shoot. But Josh, it was a fun week. The Travelers, Keegan Bradley winning. What are your thoughts coming out of there?
Yeah, I watched a lot on Thursday and Friday, not much Saturday. I did catch probably the front nine a little bit of when Keegan kind of bridged himself from Ches, and then I put it back on, then a little rough for Keegan, but yeah, I just felt like kind of my thoughts was that I just thought of the Oprah Winfrey meme that you get something, you get something, because the broadcasts are just all birdies from
Yeah.
everyone, and then
Mhm.
they show Cantlay who finished bogey, par, bogey, which we'll get into, but it kind of just felt like the course was just handing out birdies to everyone, and I thought, as someone who is, like a 14 handicap, maybe I could maybe I could put some birdies out there. So
Yeah.
those are my thoughts. Emotional weekend for Keegan, which we'll get into. But yeah, no, that was kind of the first thing I thought of the Travelers. So, but how about you? What's going on?
Yeah, I mean, as I said on last week's episode, I think the Travelers is one of the better, if not the best, but it's a really I think what it's a well put together tournament. The crowds are always great, as we talked about. Cromwell, Connecticut really encompasses the event. But I think it's so interesting going from a U.S. Open where the purse was 17.5 million to the Travelers, where 23 under one, and the purse was more than the U.S. Open at 20 million. But the field was, if not stronger than the U.S. Open in some retrospect. So very interesting week. As you said, it was a birdie fest, but that's how the course always is. Um, and I don't know. I kind of like sometimes when it's players go out and you'll have multiple 60s or 61s, but it was definitely a fun event. Um, an interesting stat for the week. So there were 67 players who made the cut. 66 of them were under par at the conclusion of round 4, with only one person being 2 over par. Now, if you take the players who missed the cut as well who are under par, then that means 108 out of 156 players were under par. And that's a really interesting number to kind of wrap your head around. Like that, the cut was 4 under, and it's just crazy. It's just crazy. But yeah, so Keegan Bradley won the duel, I guess you could say, against Ches Reavie, who kind of shot himself in the foot before he could even try and be in contention going into round 4. But I guess we can start with Ches Reavie rewatching his third round performance at the Cheesecake Factory.
Yeah, I mean the video it's funny. I think it's only funny because it's at the Cheesecake Factory. If it was at
Yeah,
just some random bar pub or something, it's not that funny. But yeah, I feel like you had the Cheesecake Ches that people are kind of calling on Twitter on Saturday night.
yeah.
Keegan's bowing to his putter during
Mhm.
the entire round, so it was I feel like those two kind of going to Sunday kind of had the spotlight. I mean, I don't know I think maybe Ches was one or two strokes behind Keegan going into Sunday,
He
but
was one behind. Yeah,
one behind. But the only problem with Birdie Fest is that like only those two can win. I think Fowler and Cantlay and Scheffler and JT and Hideki, all those big name guys and Brian Harman, they were maybe 16 under. I think JT said that he has no chance of winning unless he fires
hmm
off a 58 or something, 59, and then Keegan, only shoots a 65. I don't know the exact math, so that's the only problem I had with Birdie Fest. But I think for Keegan, he's had his ups and downs. His coach flew in. He missed a cut at the LACC at
hmm
U.S. Open, and then he is taking a video of him playing mini golf with his two sons.
yeah.
So you kind of saw the lows of him, I guess, the last couple of weeks, and then he makes that minor tweak, and then he shoots whatever he shot to win. So it's pretty crazy how these guys make one little tweak and they
hmm
just find it. So it was very heartwarming. His interview with Amanda after. shouting out like his wife and kids and his emotion with his caddy on the
Yep.
18th green, and then they had a clip of JT going up to his
Hmm.
wife at the end, and Jill saying all their family saying congrats. So there's kind of a little bit of not much hype to it in the end, but I thought that kind of captured the emotions, which we kind of got back-to-back weeks of
Hmm.
emotional 18th green
Yep.
kind of celebrations. So those are kind of my thoughts of Keegan, which he won for the first time having a 54-hole lead.
Hmm. Now
So
I've
congrats.
got an interesting question for you. I want to hear your thoughts on this. So I have a friend who bet Ches Reavie at plus 20,000. He had $5 on him outright, and I was hanging out with him on Saturday, and his cash out, so it was five to win 1,005, so five to win $1,000. His cash out was $260. What would you have done? Would you have cashed out or let it ride? What's your thoughts on that?
Well, heck, like you want like the nerdy answer to that, or you want like
Okay, all I'm
because
saying
like
here,
the
here,
nerdy
hear
answer
me
is that
out.
you never cash out because the sportsbooks want you to cash out.
Correct.
But if you went into the tournament being like, all right, Keegan and Ches can only win, then you just bet on Keegan.
Yeah.
And like you would hedge, like you would hedge Keegan not betting Ches Reavie.
Correct.
Or
Yeah.
no, or you would have to
Well,
write out
other
the
way
ticket.
around. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's what I would have done I guess if I had like Amble's amount of cash, I can be all right. I'm gonna throw this amount and hedge. But I guess like you can't really hedge because if you're past 1,000, you'd have to put. Yeah, no, yeah, that wouldn't really work. I don't know.
Long
I
story
don't know the
short,
math, but
he, yeah,
I would have bet Keegan. I would have maybe put like what, $100 on Keegan maybe or something, $50.
yeah,
Not my money, but
he
what do you
didn't
do?
cash out, citing that $260 isn't significant enough. And I'm like, off a $5 return, that's we're talking about like 60x your money almost. So I don't know. He didn't cash out, but that was a little
I
interesting
saw a
discussion.
worse ticket of
Yeah, the
that.
$10 one. Yeah.
Yeah.
Which he did cash out. It was like 600 something. Again, that's smart. I'm not advocating for cashing out every time, but I think that I didn't think he would win anyway. Even if I had a ticket, I wouldn't be feeling confident. Keegan looked
Well,
too
Keegan
good.
has it. Well, Keegan has a story too. He's from the area, or like he's from
Yeah.
New England, so Connecticut, Boston, had the fans. He had like that story, which has nothing to do with the actual golf side of it, of actually
Uh-huh.
playing on the course. But if you're looking for like the vibes, positive vibes that we, you know, look for, like Keegan kind of had it going, but he almost faltered in the end. I mean,
He did.
Cantlay, like I feel like Cantlay is becoming a king of like the backdoor top 10, where like you're like watching on Sunday, and then like the top five on like the right hand
Hmm.
side, Cantley just comes up with like 4 holes of play, and then he finally gets his like TV time, and then he goes bogey, should have made a birdie on 17, and then 18 didn't matter, so like I kind of count that as like a wash
Well,
for
no,
a bogey,
I'm
but
gonna say
that's just
this.
classic Cantley. So
It is, but do you know how much money he lost missing that putt on 18 for par? If he would have made that putt, he would have made $1 million more. So yes, in retrospect, it kind of didn't mean anything, but that was $1 million putt that he missed on 18, which is wild to think about. We're talking about, I don't know, it was 12 feet or something, and it lips out not a single reaction from him, just $1 million, just gone. But money isn't of the utmost necessity to a player like him, but talk about the ramifications of being up on the leaderboard. Zach Blair holding on to his solo second, then a tied for second, and getting $1.8 million, and Keegan getting whatever 3.6 or whatever crazy amount it was. Um, but yeah, Cantlay just kind of just appears at random moments, which is kind of funny.
yeah, he just like
Um,
yeah.
but I have to give myself some credit. He didn't win, but Justin Thomas 75 to 1. It's one of those things where yeah, he didn't win the tournament, but you were satisfied with where he was. Obviously, he didn't win money. Obviously, people are going to say, "What are you talking about?" But he had his chances. I mean, he shot like a 2 over after the first round, or 2 under something, like totally out of it. Had to just rally to make the cut. Then he just plays like two. I don't know about Sunday, only shooting 3 under, but like really good golf after that. So I'll pat myself on the back for kind of getting close. I know close doesn't count, but we're kind of there.
I mean,
But
it's
I
probably his
think something.
best
Go ahead.
finish since. Probably his best finish since Phoenix, I think.
I think
Or I know
so.
he like T14 at Quail Hollow because I bet him in one and done.
Yeah.
But I think he was good in Phoenix. But yeah, no, I mean we'll definitely go into his stats this week. But
Yeah.
his counterpart Fowler shot 60 on
He did.
what? It was round three.
Yeah, and then there's also then it was Denny McCarthy who almost holed out on 9 off of the strangest bounce you'll ever see for 59. I mean, there were just scores, just ridiculous scores coming in. That was kind of, I was gonna say the least surprising thing of the week was seeing Keegan Bradley fire a first round 62. That was like the least surprising thing. Like you go, oh, there goes Keegan, Boston. Least
Yeah.
surprising thing I've ever heard of. But something that's interesting is that is Scotty Scheffler's 18th straight event where he finished in the top 12. Which, if you think about, you can't even like fathom how crazy that is. I mean, we're talking about just every single event he's in contention, which is wild. I mean, we obviously he's not winning at the the rate that he was last year when he went Phoenix Masters and all that, but he's just consistently there, and he still can't putt the ball. So it's just one of those things where like once he figures out how to putt the ball, I mean he's going to be winning like 3 or 4 times every couple of months. It seems like.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like in his latest tournaments, he doesn't start off strong, and then he plays
Mhm.
from behind, and probably plays more free, and then he makes a run. Like I guess I mean like you probably never thought he would win, but like he's doing this in all these elevated events. These are the best. I
Yeah.
mean, they're the best players in like the entire world, and he's putting himself in contention. I mean, there's some people that don't bet Scheffler to win because he's plus 600, but like he's going to be there on Sunday. So if you want a thrill on Sunday, like just put whatever
Hmm.
a safe amount responsibly. We bet responsibly here on the Bunker to Bunker Pod.
Yes, we do.
So yeah, so I mean his run is like I know Kyle Porter. I follow a lot of his content. He's a big Scheffler guy on Twitter. Like compares his like T degree and numbers, and I think they're like close up there with Tiger in like his prime,
Hmm.
which is crazy. But he can't putt. But I have a stat. I don't know if you saw this that Kyle Porter tweeted, but how many golfers has Scottie Scheffler lost to this year? So in 15 tournaments, how many
Hmm.
golfers? Can you guess?
I did not see this stat before, but I'll say 20, or is that totally off?
That's way off.
Like, in what direction?
Like it's higher.
Single digits? Higher. Well, what is it?
Higher mean like like higher than 20. Like greater than 20.
I'll
Give like
just,
one more
what is
guess.
it? Uh,
66. He's lost to 66
okay,
golfers.
okay. I'll preface. Okay, 20 is a terrible, 20 is a
But
terrible
also
guess.
Kyle Porter said that like last night he said something. I forget what year it was, but Tiger lost to like 60, like I think like 60-ish golfers in like an entire year. So Scheffler is doing it 66 now. So he would have to win just to like be in like that number. But like it
Yeah.
just it that kind of shows you what level that Sky Scheffler is playing at right now. And also comparing to Tiger, who he had a year like that and like only lost like 60
Uh-huh.
something, which
Yeah. Okay. So
I feel
I
like
was, I
66
was.
sounds like a lot.
It. Well, that's why I said
I feel
20
like
because I thought it was gonna be like some like crazy low number, but lost to that's
well, I
60 is
mean like
crazy.
John Rahm started out the year like losing like a couple golfers because he won Century, Amex,
Yeah.
Genesis, Masters. So like at some point like Rahm kind of was in that tier, but yeah, no, it's just Scheffler's ridiculous.
Hmm.
I don't see him stopping honestly, so we'll see like the playoff event and stuff if he can kind of because he's second in the FedEx Cup. He's not even first, which
Yeah.
kind of sparks a debate that they were talking about last night was like who's the player of the year, like Scheffler or John Rahm
Hmm.
or Clark,
That's
Wyndham Clark.
so. I don't think that Clark is close. I think he would definitely be a third. I think you. I don't love how like wins matter so much more than consistency, but I still think the early nod would be to Rom because of how he started the year.
Yeah.
Obviously, we still have 2.5 months of very high level golf to go, but I think the early nod is still to Rom. And like Scotty's
Yeah.
just right there, but he hasn't, been this, Rom winning week in, week out, the Masters, Riviera, it's just week in, week out. And obviously, Scotty's still in the top 12, but when winning matters so much more than consistency, then Rom is probably the front runner.
Yeah, I agree. I think Scheffler has to win. He's probably only going to play the British Open and the two playoff events to remain the end the year. But yeah,
Yeah.
if Scheffler wins one of them, I think he's going to win it.
Mm.
I think like the players vote on that. Is that a players? I forget what like the. I mean, it has to be a golf
Players,
writers and
media, something like
players.
that. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah. So that'll be an interesting debate going down the stretch. For they're both are going to fend for the FedEx Cup. So
Hmm.
that's interesting. But did you? One funny thing I found from this tournament is that number 15 at Travelers is a drivable par four, which is like
Hmm.
300 yards. But then the
Beautiful.
week
Yeah.
prior, they played like LACC, which had two long par threes. So it was kind of funny just to like mentally like going from like, all right, I gotta do a 300-yard par three, and then you come and then like you look at it and it's like a par four. So
I
which
kind
is
of feel like,
which was
yeah,
kind of weird, but yeah,
I feel like if you think about it that way, then it's kind of nice for the players to kind of
yeah,
play freely and not have it be every single shot like in a US Open is like mentally exhausting. Like, yeah, I mean, I think on Sunday is 274 yards, a par four, and on Sunday the US Open, I think 11 was like 295 or something, and that's a par three. So yeah, that's a that just kind of shows what major tournaments are like. But I think the players definitely enjoyed that kind of like, all right, like I can like settle down a little bit. I mean, 15 in retrospect did play like a par three, where basically everyone birdied it. If you want to get a leg up on the field, you got to make an eagle,
yeah.
and
That's
a
my argument
par
to that.
there would
Like,
be a bogey necessarily. But
yeah, that's my argument that like it's a par four, but I mean, especially when like a birdie fest when you can probably you can possibly make up a stroke on like the field, like you kind of have to make eagle on that. But
yeah,
did you catch Rory's comments on
yeah.
on Sunday?
So his whatever he says in the media is kind of going to be like the top story no matter what it is, positive, negative, neutral. And while I do agree with him, in the sense that like River Highlands easily got overpowered this week. I mean, I'll just read the full quote for anyone who doesn't know. Rory said, "I don't particularly like when a tournament is like this. Unfortunately, technology has passed the course by. It sort of has made it obsolete, especially as soft as it has been with a little bit of rain that we had. So again, like the conversation's going back to limiting the golf ball and stuff like that. When you come to courses like this, just doesn't present the challenge that they used to. And wow, that is true. But I just don't see the upside to like giving all these players like these limited range balls or something. Like just let them go out and be the best in the world. Why do they have to be worried about overpowering a course? Like I understand like 23 under is kind of ridiculous, but at the same time, you conquered and you played four very good rounds of golf. It's the same thing as if you're going to win a US Open. You just played it in a different level. You played, 4 rounds of even par. This one you played 4 rounds of
Yeah,
6 or 7 under. So like I understand what he's saying, but I think people get too caught up in, oh, 23 under. Oh my gosh, this is ridiculous. Well, no, it's just someone who played very solid golf. But then if you look at it like 9 under was like, tied for 50th. That's crazy. But it's I don't know. What are your thoughts on that?
yeah. I mean, with Rory's comments with like the technology and stuff, I just don't see them rolling back the golf ball. I just feel like all like the top players have the power, like in
Mm-hmm.
any other sport. So I don't see that happening. I think it's on like the course. I mean, people think that you should lengthen the rough, which just gives more edge to the top players who hit it farther because Kevin Kisner has no chance because like it takes him out of it. So I guess just like you can maybe make the greens faster. I'm on a superintendent, landscaper. I'm not really sure what in that aspect, but I think it's definitely interesting. I'm not really a big fan of these birdie fests because
Mhm.
kind of takes away from like the round 4 on Sunday for someone coming up and climbing back. But overall, I think it's definitely gonna be a topic that won't go away. So I don't really have like a stance right now, but I just don't see it happening. I think it's kind of more in the course and like I don't know. I guess you see like people, college kids, like hitting it far, but if you don't have a short game and you can't putt, like it doesn't matter. Like cool, hit it 350. All right, well like you gotta get the ball in the hole. Kevin Kisner has made a career. Zach Johnson, Keegan doesn't hit it far either. Like they made a career doing it. So I mean, I don't think it's gonna change iron play, putting, short game. You know,
Yeah.
all matters. So
Yeah, well, before we hop into the Rocket Mortgage, I guess one other thing. Does Keegan make the Ryder Cup team here? I mean, we're talking about a designated event win. That's going to vault him definitely in the conversation. If not, I don't know what the points did or where he stands on the standings of the top six. But like, how does Zach Johnson choose from these players who aren't coming in with like this amazing form, and then they have like a really good week, and then they just don't after that. Like, is Justin Thomas still like definitely going to make the team, even though before this week he
yes,
absolutely sucked?
yes.
I mean, yeah, he
No,
should, but
JT is making the team. It's not even. I don't think it's even like
yeah,
you could debate it, but I don't think it's a debate to be honest.
because then
But
then you have
it's
players like Homa, Cam Young, Sam Burns who are like not
Cam Young's
playing
not.
well.
Yeah, Cam Young's not making it unless he wins and gets like an automatic qualifier. But
Yeah, it's just a very interesting question. I mean, so I guess the general does this vault Keegan into the Ryder Cup?
yes,
Yes.
I think when you go into away territory in Europe in Italy, we haven't won in X amount of years. Keegan has been on Presidents Cup teams and Rock Cup teams. I think he's like a team first guy. I think he just wants to be there. Great guy. He's playing well. So he's currently seventh right now. Homa is
Hmm.
sixth. So if Keegan plays well in these elevated events, playoffs, British Open, I mean, he could maybe automatically qualify.
Yeah.
So I don't think I think the odds are in his favor. I'm not gonna say he's like a lock to make it, but I think right now or in the next couple months, I expect like Captain Johnson to make a call to Keegan Bradley.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
but like the top six is Scheffler, Clark, Kepka, Xander, Cantlay, Homa are the automatic right now.
Hmm.
And then there's Keegan, Spieth, Cam Young, Burns, JT, Morikawa. So that's the 12 if you truthfully go by like the top 12. So
Hmm.
outside of that is Finau and Fowler. So if I had to
Ricky
guess right
has to be
now,
on that team. Ricky has to be on that
yeah,
team.
I mean we could do a whole pod about this. I feel like we
Yeah.
maybe should like maybe like after like the like British Open to do like
Hmm.
a preview pod and then after that
Yeah.
make our like picks and have fun with it. But I think like it's and there's DJ too. You always forget about DJ. So I think Cam Young and Burns don't make it. I think it's Keegan. I think Keegan, Finau, and Fowler. Even Finau's not that playing that well, but we'll get into him
Yeah.
soon enough. But yeah, it's definitely interesting with the pairings and stuff. Um, yeah, I'm a Rock Cup nerd. You will be there, so definitely a lot of hot topics
Yeah.
about it with different pairings. So we can get kind of like pretty fun with it eventually.
Hmm.
So I'm definitely excited. But yeah, no. Going back to JT, JT's a lock. He's like 16-5 and something
Hmm.
in match play. Him and Spieth are too good in the foursomes, so they're kind of like auto written in for JT Spieth out first. Can't let Xander second, and then you kind of have to figure out Scheffler and Morikawa who you kind of pair with them in foursomes. But
Yeah.
there's a little preview.
Yeah. So yeah, coming up right from the Travelers, we go to the Rocket Mortgage at Detroit Country Club. Again, this will be a Birdie Fest. I will let you hop into a little bit of the course preview.
Yeah, quick preview. Par 72, yardage 73, 7400. Donald Ross design. Tony Finau is your defending champ. So, obviously elite player. He kind of got hot at this stretch last year. It's one of the easier courses on tour, as Ethan said, the Birdie Fest. Um, it's been exposed to hitting it far and not really caring where it goes because there's not really much penalty. Cam Davis has won, one of the great drivers of the golf ball.
Mhm.
Bryson won, Tony Finau won recently, so you kind of can see driving it far, hot putter. So that's kind of a recipe of success here. Most of the par fours are under 500 yards, so driver wedge, driver chipping, and Detroit Golf Club ranked 31st out of the 40th in easiest golf courses on tour. However you
Yeah.
want to spin that. So birdies, birdies, birdies. Get used to it. That's kind of the quick rundown of the preview of the course. I thought like we could kind of go in a little player spotlight, kind of write
Yeah.
off some names, go deep into it. I'll start with Finau. As I say, he's a defending champ. He leads the field with strokes gained on like easy courses. So birdie fest type courses, he does pretty well on. He likes these smaller events that are like not a lot of like big names, so like non-elevated events. I feel like he wins. Like he won Mexico
Mhm.
this year. He won 3M last year, and his tournament last year too. So, but the only problem is that he's not really playing that well to his standard. Like he can't putt. He's losing. He lost putting strokes 7 of his last 8 tournaments. In his last 2 tournaments, he's lost at least 2 or 3. So,
Mhm.
like, if you think it's a birdie fest and he can't really putt that well, like, that's a concern. So,
Yeah.
kind of the leading summary of this whole thing is that you need to make putts. I feel like
Mhm.
that's a thing for everything. So, but he hasn't really lost strokes ball striking since October. So he's putting himself in position. He can't putt, and I think he
Mhm.
was like and he didn't do anything. He made the cut last week, but he didn't really do much. He struggled. So that's what Finau kind of breakdown of, and I think he's a betting favorite on
He should
at least
be.
he opened. But I know
Um,
that we have bigger
he
names coming
is.
into
Yep.
this field.
Mhm.
So you want to kind of ride off JT, your boy. Not 75 to 1 this week. He's probably like 14 or 16 to 1, probably.
Imagine going from 75 to 1 right to 14 to 1 just after 1 week. That kind of shows how like different this field is. But then it's like I don't want to say you're crazy, but why you're going from U.S. Open to a designated event to the Rocket Mortgage? What a great set of events
Well, he
there.
has to because he needs points. He's outside the top 70 for FedEx Cup wins.
Does he have any sponsorship with Rocket Mortgage? Or I know
No,
Ricky
I think
does.
he's doing it. I think there's 2 clear reasons. He needs it for points. He needs to get in the top 70.
Mhm.
Second, Fowler's playing in it, and Max Homa. They're pretty close now. I feel like for him, it's kind of like they're going. I
They
got people to
wanna,
like hang
yeah,
out with, so that's
yeah,
probably not the actual reason. Obviously, like the first reason, but a little fun thing. But yeah, dive into JT for us.
yeah. So for 14 to 1, which good luck with that. But let's see. So last week he gained 7 strokes on approach, which was the first time since the 2022 players that he has gained that many. So definitely a turnaround. We're also talking about he just got absolutely hot with the putter on Friday and Saturday, but he still lost strokes on the week. So if you look at it, would he shoot? I think 19 under, and he lost almost 2 strokes the entire week putting. So his approach was great. I think tee to green he was like top 10 or something crazy like that. Um, I know another stat was his accuracy was just terrible, like tied 50 or tied
Hmm.
60th, and that doesn't matter going into this week.
Yeah.
Because you can just kind of hit it and just go just go find it as the one security guard at the 2019 PGA Championship that we worked at told me that golfing is basically you hit a ball and you go hiking and go and try and find it. So that's what JT can do this week. He can just say, you know what, I'm just gonna swing and wherever it lands, it lands. I don't know if you saw, but Detroit had some pretty bad storms yesterday and today, so there are trees down everywhere. So maybe even more so, you can just kind of swing freely, but on the same time, there's not as many bumpers on getting it back into the fairway.
Hmm.
So don't know what happens with that. But I think he's due for another strong finish. I think that again we're basing off of form off of 1 week, but it was a very strong week for him. I don't want to say it came out of nowhere, but it kind of did, coming from almost dead last in the U.S. Open. So I think this is a good chance for him to just continue some form, maybe have some going into the British Open. So I think that's good for him. But I'll let you dive into probably the face of Rocket Mortgage, Ricky Fowler.
Mr. Mr. Rocket Mortgage BDR as we
Yep,
call him. But yeah, he's probably the most popular bet. Um,
absolutely.
he is probably, if you go by like the last like 36 rounds, 24 rounds ish, like he's probably the best player in this entire
Hmm.
field. He's been the most consistent golfer inside top 20 in 9 of his last 10 tournaments, and that one was a cut at the PGA, so that's just kind of, big field event. And I just like, yeah, I mean, he's gaining strokes off the tee, approach, around the green, putting. I mean, he hits it far enough, and
Hmm.
he's gained at least 2 strokes putting in his last 2 tournaments, so
Yep.
um, he's the face of it. It's kind of, I feel like he's kind of destined to kind of come back and win here. We saw Jason Day win at the Byron Nelson, which was his
Hmm.
first win in forever, so I can feel the storyline, but my fear is that he's going to be way too popular, that he kind of crumbles. So, but I'll probably have some money on Fowler, as he's one of my favorite golfers, and I don't think I can miss out on it. As crazy as I sound, so I think Ricky is going to be a good play this week.
Here's an interesting question for you. He will be a very popular play, and for good reason. But is there a point where he's just burnt out? I mean, you got to realize, he went through 4 grueling rounds of the U.S. Open, and he responded very well at the Travelers. But you're also asking someone to just, be playing at this insanely high level for a third consecutive week. Do you think that that has any factor into it? That maybe you need to not be as, worry about like not being so overexposed to him when he's been playing very well, but at some point he's going to regress. I don't know if this is the week.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like there's now storylines on him to win. I mean, I feel like you listed that last week, and he posted a 60 in whatever round, and kind
Yeah,
of
I
was
was
like,
wrong. So I'll probably be wrong this week. I'll
in
preface with
it.
that.
I mean, there's other concerns. I feel like. I mean, I think if you want to have an angle not to bet him, I feel like it's that. I mean,
Yeah,
like you
that's
can't
the
go
only
like
thing.
if you go by like his numbers, like you're gonna bet him. But I think with Fowler, he I don't know. I think he just has this like kind of eye that like I think he just wants it more than others.
Hmm.
And I feel like Jordan Spieth said that after the Masters. He was like, I've been just mentally burned out, plays RBC Heritage, and loses into a playoff. So
Hmm.
those guys can say it, but like I feel like these guys are so competitive and so zoned in,
Yeah.
adrenaline, the will to win. I feel like it can be, but we'll definitely see. It's definitely a interesting argument for it.
Um.
So
Yeah. It's again probably not going to happen, but just throwing it out there. I know you did some good researching into some potential sleepers, so I'll let you do a like kind of like a rapid fire. Like let's get a list of who you think aren't being talked about enough or are players that could easily just sneak into the conversation.
yeah, so two quick sleepers are Carson Young, the better C Young when you look on the apps. Cameron
Hmm.
Young hasn't been playing well, but Carson Young, get that right. I don't think Carson Young's playing, or Cameron Young is playing this week, but
Yeah.
he's kind of very volatile. He's kind of up and down on like, he'll hit it well one week, not make putts, but then he'll make putts and hit it well another week. He's gained from approach 7 of his last 8 tournaments. He isn't the greatest driver of the golf ball, but he's consistently making cuts. So maybe a little preview to my bet that we'll go into. But
Hmm.
I've been betting him all year to finish top 30, top 40, and he's been around that line. So I like him to kind of stay with that and maybe get to maybe top 10 by on Sunday.
Hmm.
Another guy who rates well with strokes gained like very recently is Austin Eckroat. He's finished top 30 in his last 5 tournaments. Again, he's someone that he's kind of like Ricky Fowler. He's been gaining strokes everywhere. He didn't really hit it well off the tee and approach at the Travelers, but I bet him top 40, and that was not really a sweat. So he gained 5 strokes playing last week. He's been very consistent, as I said. So I think I like him. Like if you want to maybe take like a long shot, I like him to, potentially get there. He's been playing some solid golf, so I like him too.
Mhm.
Two amateur sleepers I have are Gordon Sargent. If you want the Bryson model, hit it far. You don't care where it goes. Figure it out. So he played well at the U.S. Open and was
Mhm.
pretty famously for the ball should have went in, but it went out because the
Mhm.
cup was
Yep.
kind of screwed up. But
Mhm.
easy course for him. He's played the two majors as we said, so I think he can finish in the top 20. I think he's also be popular if you play the DraftKings or certain pools, if you have. But then the other one is Ludwig Uberg, if I pronounce that right. He's
Close.
also
Yeah.
he also gains a lot off the tee. He was inside the top 25 at the Canadian Open and Travelers, so if he can hit it well and make putts, that's kind of our theme this week. I think he
Mhm.
can kind of make a run. I think he's interesting too because he's a Ryder Cupper too. He could potentially make it. So those are kind of four sleepers. Two are the future of golf. So those are guys to look
Mhm.
out for in kind of the finishing position markets, which we'll get into to close this podcast out. You got any
Is
sleepers? Do you like any
is
of those
Ludwig
intrigue you?
Alberg still is he
What?
still an amateur? Is Ludwig Alberg still an amateur?
I don't know. I mean, he
I th-
played.
I thought he declared professional before the Canadian. I'm not. Let me look that up really quick. Um, let's
Starters
see.
only 20, and he was a Vanderbilt.
Maybe he's not. I thought he was. Okay, maybe not. I don't know. I guess we can hop into kind of our last segment, something that we want to start every week. We're gonna call this the fairway finder. So the whole premise behind it is I'm not gonna use the L word in gambling, so we're not gonna call it that.
Nope.
But a bet that we think is the safest bet for the week. We're gonna keep this, keep track of this throughout the entire season. A little competition between Josh and I, but the whole premise is something that we are the most confident in. The rules are it can't be an outright, so we're looking at matchups, make miss the cut, finishing position, hole in one, whatever you want to be, just can't be an outright.
Yeah.
And also can't be a massive favorite because that's no fun. So I can't say, give me Tony Finau to make the cut at minus 10,000. That sucks.
Yeah.
So right around even money or better. So if you have a plus 200 that you love, that works. Or a plus 100 that you love, that works too. So I'll start with mine for this week. My fairway finder will be Justin Thomas top 20 at plus 105. I think that's great value. I'll just start with that. I mean, we're talking about someone who's 14-1 to win the tournament, and plus 105. I think is great value to finish inside the top 20. As I said, his form wasn't great before last week, but he really put together like two insanely solid rounds, and obviously a 3 under still a good round. But he can drive the ball very far. His approach is phenomenal. Last week it was ridiculous. I think it was like 11 shots or something crazy like that. He still lost strokes putting though, which is insane to shoot 19 under and still lose. His thing is like 1.94 to be exact, strokes putting, which is like 59th or something throughout the week. But if he can, match the numbers off the tee, approach, and all that, and just drain a few more putts, I think not only will he be top 20, I looked at top 10, but I didn't love the odds. I think he can go out and win this tournament. So top 20, I think, is a really safe play for this week.
Interesting. Very on brand for you as this whole podcast and last podcast. I am gonna have fun with this. I mentioned him before. Gordon Sargent, top 40, plus 110, 115, depending on what book you get it at. I think he played well at LACC. I think this is a weaker field, so I think he's probably one of the more talented guys. And I think top
Mm-hmm.
40, that number for driving it well. I think let's have some fun with it. Let's go Gordon Sargent. We are both older than him, which is kind of scary to sound to even say.
Damn,
But
thanks.
Gordon Sargent, top 40 plus money. We're gonna go 1-0. We both will go 1-0. Start this off right for the viewers, and yeah, we'll keep track of this all year. Post on Twitter and
Hmm.
whatever. So come ride with us. Come on the train. So let's finish this year strong in the golf betting space.
Come on the train, but we are not responsible for our losing bets, so do not come at us when we lose.
Hey, that's the
So,
nature of the game.
welcome to gambling. But yeah, do you have any final thoughts before we wrap it up here?
Final thoughts? No. I mean, I like that it's a good week because there's a lot of big names that I like.
Mm-hmm.
Homa, Morikawa. We're talking about Morikawa, Hideki. He's playing well. He's the one and done pick in my pool, which
Mm-hmm.
Fitzpatrick, it's like T50, lost like 20 spots, so thanks, Fitzpatrick. So, yeah, it's the best field that the Detroit Golf Club and the tournament has ever had. So, I think, July 4th weekend, hopefully we'll try to find some time to watch. But yeah, no, excited for this Birdie Fest again. So, um, not really much else.
Yeah, yeah, I'm excited. I wish earlier today Bet365 released a bet. Let me get you the exact ramifications of it. It was over under 74 and a half players under par, and that includes players who missed the cut at plus 175. It opened at plus 225 for the over. I don't know how that is plus money. I don't know how that even is a bet. Last year, there were around like 110 out of 156 players who were under par. Wish I knew about that sooner. I will guess Bet365 does not release those lines anymore because they did it for last week. They set the number at 62 and a half and 108 were under par. So I don't think that's going to be a bet any longer, but if anyone out there has a book that has it, please bet it and please let me know what the book is because I will join you in that.
Or just bet against you.
Sure. That works too. But if anyone has a book
Right.
that has it, please let me know. But yeah, we're looking forward to another birdie fest. It's going to be another one where 20 under, 25 under even could win it. It's a pretty wide open course. Can overpower it very easily, but should be fun. So yeah, that's all we got for you this week. We have again exciting content coming out every day. Multiple posts a day. So continue to support us. The support has been great so far, growing this from the ground up. So we're very excited about that, and looking forward to the Rocket Mortgage, and then right around the corner we got the British Open. So exciting
And John
times in
Deere.
golf.
John
Oh
Deere
my
Classic too.
gosh! Wow, totally forgot about that amazing tournament as well. But yeah, we will see you guys next week for episode 6.